What is up, everybody? Welcome to System Preppers Live. I'm David Wilson. We're back again with another Friday stream where we get together as a community and talk about whatever topic I've concocted for the week. And this week is no exception. Is the chat kind of low on my head? It seems like it's closer to my head than usual. Am I imagining that? Let me just see if I can bump that up a little bit, because it seems too low. Maybe it's just because there's too much chat. You're chatting too much. It's not too much, okay? Don't stop chatting just because I said that. What did I do? What did I do? Only 12 minutes late? Yeah, okay, I'll explain why. All right, just give me a break for a second. Too much chat? Never. Well, it usually peters out pretty fast. Wait, cannot start yet? Why not? Why not? All right, let me pull up the actual chat view here because of what I'm doing things a little bit differently today. We'll talk about it in a minute. All right. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not saying blah, blah, blah to all of you. I'm just trying to read this at the same time. This case says David Will wrote one song in his life, but it's a banger. Which song would that be? Are you talking about the one that's playing now? Because I didn't write that, unfortunately. I would love it if I had written that. The one and only is not here yet. The antithesis of a small drink. Kay says David Will's using IRC on Emacs like a nerd. Yeah, like every day. Like every day. How long have we been in this IRC channel? Or at least the System Preppers IRC channel? It's been like, what, 3 years at least? Yeah, yada yada you, buddy. That's what you get. That's what you get. That's what happens. Okay, 1 second. What are you talking about, man? Okay, I'm totally off track now. Is that RC IRC, yeah. What a lag on screen and in the chat. Yes. Custom ERC thing? No. All right, so you're looking at a different configuration today. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting little experiment. And that's part of the reason why I'm late, because I forgot to set up my streaming package that I use in Emacs to drive the stream, or at least to drive part of the stream, because OBS WebSocket hasn't been working for a while, but maybe it will now. I just haven't tried it again. But yeah, I use an Emacs package to drive the stream. Of course I do, right? Because that's the whole point of being here, is that we're just doing a bunch of weird stuff in Emacs the whole time. So let me say hello to the folks who are here so far, because there are a number of you. On the YouTube side, hello to, and I'm saying hello to the YouTube side first because the IRC side was so rude to me. I'm just letting you know. Hello to the people on the YouTube side, Bill, Alexander, Forrest, Antares, Sem, and Mike. Nice to see all of you. And then those of you delinquents in the IRC side, I see, let's see, Cal 2001, Case, Zorg, Alternate Ved, Gun, Airkey, Fade. I think I saw Dave somewhere whenever I was connected the previous time. John Hamelink. Who else? J. Fred, Roberto. Did I miss anyone? Ashraz, obviously, Ashraz. Did I see the iwd.el package? What is that, a wireless manager? Because I'm using, I just started using nm.el for network manager. While and bile, Big Edie says over in the YouTube chat, we could be rude here too. Please don't. Please don't. I can't handle more rudeness, right? I'm here. I'm putting myself on display. I'm putting my heart out in the open, and it's just being crushed by people who I thought were my friends. Just kidding. I think I saw Minas Mazar join in the IRC chat before the stream started, and I also just saw Mjolnir's Revenge show up in the YouTube side, so hello to all of you. Nice to see a lot of friendly, familiar faces. This guy stinks at React content. It's a good thing. I'm happy to say that I'm no good at React content. All I react to is just people in the chat the whole time. But I guess that's what React content is. We don't need more React content. Hello to Arnaud. All right, and an EM from. Hello to Yakumo over on the YouTube side. New here, working my way through Emacs from scratch. Thank you so much. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Here's a good idea for stream networking in Emacs. It sounds pretty boring. I don't know. And the problem with that would be that I would end up turning off my Wi-Fi adapter or my Ethernet adapter, and then the stream would stop. So I don't know if that's such a good idea. But I'll take it under advisement, okay? Anytime that people give me suggestions for stream ideas, I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then I do something completely different because, not because I don't appreciate the ideas, it's just because I come up with some other stupid thing that I decide to do instead. I see that my chat overlay is pretty staying up to date pretty well on what's going on in the chat. A little bit behind RCRC. Yes, thank you, Ashraz, for linking the Emacs from Scratch playlist. Okay. Do it in the VM? Okay, maybe, sure. I don't think anyone's ideas are terrible. Here's how my brain works. I'm trying to gather inspiration from as many places as possible, and usually the topic of the stream does not occur to me until the day before or the day of the stream. And it's really just the way that my brain works. Kind of like the whole ADHD thing. You just ping pong around until the very last minute, and then you finally get your ass up and start doing something. So that's just the way it works. Yes, Org, I will talk about my my document centering mode in a second. Yes, Case. What bindings are you using for the Twitch interface? IRC, buddy. Well, it's not working right now, though. I need to fix that again. All right. Let's get into the news. Everything looks a little bit different today. We'll see if we can adjust. The text may be small. If the text is small, let me know. I can bump the size up a bit. All right. So, in fact, I'll probably just go ahead and do that. Just a little. There we go. So, System Crafters newsletter issue 11 was just sent out. I don't remember what day that was. Was it earlier this week? I've been working on so many things, I can't even remember what I released when. I love you too, Case. If you were talking to me, you were maybe talking to someone else. So if you are not on the System Crafters newsletter, if you go to systemcrafters.net, systemcrafters.net/newsletter, and you can sign up for that. But you can also go to this link, se-news-011, and you'll see the actual newsletter written out in plain text form. I see a little bug here in the output, which is great. A lot of stuff in here, basically describing what I'm doing with my new configuration, my new Emacs configuration, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So I might say things differently there. So if you're interested in what I'm doing with my new Emacs config, then read this. And also go check out my new configuration file, which we'll look at in a second as well. Let's see, some other stuff in the newsletter. Talking about using logos for presentations, which I'm actually doing today. Logos is a package by Prat Stavru. And it's another one of his nice minimal style Emacs packages that does things in a configurable way that you can kind of build on yourself, which is the kind of thing that I like. So I'm trying to use that now instead of Orc Present for a while, just to see how I like it. And it's going okay. Some of the stuff is not working consistently, and that's mainly my fault, I think, but I need to look into it. Alternate Vet says, RSS feed when? I'm going to retool the way that the newsletter works relatively soon. I've done a terrible job at keeping up with it. I get distracted, and then I go down pathways, and then I forget to write the newsletter. So I'm trying to switch to like a monthly newsletter. Instead of having like the issue numbers, it will be more like a monthly thing, and then there will actually be an RSS feed. And in fact, I think it will just be the normal... No, not that. The normal news page. I would probably put them in here. So normal news posts plus the newsletter would probably end up in here. So if you go subscribe to the RSS feed for this page, which if you go down to the bottom of the page, it says RSS feeds, you can grab the link to the System Crafters news feed. If you subscribe to that, my plan is eventually to have the newsletter show up in there, and I will probably backfill all of the previous issues to put in there. Now, the reason why I didn't do it in RSS to begin with is that I kind of feel like many people don't check RSS feeds, so people aren't getting notified when new things come out. Email's better for that because you do see emails usually. But I could be wrong about that. I'm really bad about not checking RSS feeds. I will add RSS feeds and literally never look at them. So I'm going based on my own, what would you call it? My own, what I know about myself. I'm just projecting that my audience is kind of like me and not checking RSS feeds that frequently. So I want to make sure people are actually seeing things when I want to send out information or announce things or whatever. So that's the main reason why I hadn't had an RSS feed before now, but people have kept asking for it. So people want it, I'm going to do it. So it'll be here whenever that happens. I cannot give you a promise on when that's going to happen because there are a number of things that have priority, so we'll see. So what else in the newsletter? I was happy to be able to pull out a few links from the community in the Crafter News section this time. There's 4 links here, all of which are written by people who are active members of the System Crafter community, and I'm very thankful for them, participating in the Crafter Ring, which was set up by Shom. If you don't know about the Crafter Ring, we've talked about it a few times. Is it down? Hold on a second. Okay, I was making sure my internet's not down. Shom, your site's down, buddy. I don't know what happened. But anyway, point being, the Crafter Ring is a cool project set up by Shom, and I think Benoit is helping maintain it, which is a web ring for System Crafters community blogs. And all of these posts are coming from posts in the Crafter Ring. So if you want to have your blog posts that you write about things that you're doing and learning around Emacs, Geeks, Linux, whatever, anything that's relevant to the topics of the channel, go sign up for the Crafter Ring whenever the site's back up again. I believe it's on Codeberg too. Codeberg Crafter Ring. Yeah, codeberg.org/systemcrafter/Crafter Ring. And you can sign up there either by submitting a pull request or create an issue. I believe there's instructions for how you can join up on there. So if you have a blog with an RSS feed, you can become a member of the Crafter Ring. And then I will be checking that every month whenever I'm gathering links for interesting things to throw into the newsletter. So this week we have posts from Leonix, from Purple G, from Glenneth, and from Cal 2001. So all really interesting stuff. If you want to go check those out, I definitely recommend it. And then we'll talk about this in a minute too. I'm just announcing the workshop in the newsletter. But that's it. I mean, I think it was a pretty decent newsletter. But I do want to kind of change how I'm doing things just to make it a bit more repeatable for me. I tend to put too much effort into them. I think that because I'm trying to write some section of content to talk about whatever it is that I've been doing recently on my own configuration, and then I'm like trying to write a whole tip, which is almost like a tutorial in itself, I'm maybe doing too much. So I'm going to try to see what I can do to scale it back a little bit, but focus on having some useful information in there, plus links to stuff that's going on in the community, plus whatever is happening in the broader sphere of system crafters at any given moment. So that's kind of the plan. I need to retool to execute on that. Maybe at the beginning of 2025, you'll see the first new format of the newsletter. I've been talking about that for a while, but just never got back around to it. All right. So next, so I had mentioned this last maybe couple of streams. I got a new workshop. I haven't done a workshop before. I've done course before, but this is the first time I'll do a workshop. It's a one-day workshop, 4 hours, where I will teach you everything from the basics of using Git. It's called Git Good, from basics to beyond in 4 hours. I will teach you the basics of Git all the way to advanced techniques like Git rebase. This is not just for Git beginners. This is for people who are also, I would say, intermediate to experienced Git users, because we're going to talk not only about the general Git workflow of using Git. We're going to talk about the actual model of Git, what commits are, what hashes are, what branches are, what refs are, the difference between rebase and merge, how Git stores information in the local repository, like this object model effectively. Things that could be useful to you as someone who needs to have actual expertise with Git and not just sort of blindly using commands that you're seeing people give you on the internet. Like, how do I reset my branch back to the state it was in the previous commit? You won't have to ask that question anymore because you'll know how to do it. So it's going to be an interactive workshop where I teach you the core concepts of Git and practical techniques for daily use. And you will be given short hands-on exercises to try while the event goes on, so you can learn quickly and ask questions to learn more. So if you want to learn how to use Git like an experienced hacker, join us at the Git Good workshop. You can check out the webpage at systemcrafters.net/courses/git-good-workshop. More information is there. Registration link is there. There are 2 dates currently in December. Both are on Sundays. One is December 8th. The other is December 15th. The times are different on both of those days because I'm trying to have times that work both for the US, or let's say North America and Europe. So whenever you register, you're registering in general for the workshop, and eventually I'm going to send out a message on the forum to people who have registered to ask which slot you want to be in. You will get to pick one of the 2 slots. So I hope this will work out for everybody who wants to attend. If these times don't work, or if there's enough interest, I might add another date to accommodate, but we'll see how it goes. I'm happy that there have been people signing up so far. Thank you very much to those of you who signed up so far. I will get information to you pretty soon. I've been working on sort of like the preliminary details of everything, so I'll be getting out information within the next week or two, because it's getting close to time, right? All right, so that's that. Any questions on that? Any questions in the chat? Let me go back to the chat for a second and see what people are saying. All right. Ashraz is linking to the newsletter. Thank you, Ashraz. Glenna says user contributes for the newsletter. If people wanted to, yeah, I've actually, I say that in every newsletter. If you want to actually write something to go into the newsletter, you certainly can. But I don't know if you want to, you could definitely do it. But I wonder if it's better for you to write something that's on your own blog and then I link to it from the newsletter. So if you want to let me know about something you've written, if you're a member of the community, you want to let me know about a post you've written that I could include, certainly let me know, for sure. All right. What else? Minas Mezer says, I'm always in L feed. Yeah, I never load it. Zorg says GNUs. Probably should try using GNUs again. John says, I've been using PurpleG's Haas.el package today as it happens. What does that do? I've heard that. Very fun. Cool. Let me see if I can open this link. What is it? RCIRC link? No? URL? Browse URL. Is it going to open it in the right place? Boom. All right, cool. That's the first time I've done that. Okay, yeah, Emacs package for interacting with Home Assistant. So that's like a home automation stuff. That's cool. Case says seminar. Not really a seminar. Let's see. It reminds me, have you seen the Git demonstration in org mode from a conference in 2021? It was an amazing demo of runnable documentation. I have not seen that, but actually I have, yes, Ashra says, or write your post in the forums. That also is a good point. And Alternate Vet says, I forgot we have forum. Yeah, I need to put a little bit more time in on cultivating the forum, let's say. I have not put enough time in on that. I've got a lot of things going on. So I want to spend more time on the forum in 2025. I really want to try to get, I've said this a number of times, I really want to get some more focused activity going on in the community. We got a lot of activity going on in the IRC, which I think is great. A lot of people there every day chatting. I feel like we have a quite active channel 24 hours a day, and I'm very proud of that because it means that people like being there and they like talking to each other. You know, there's some good people there. But the forum needs, I think we do a lot of really interesting things on the forum that are distinct from the IRC. So I want to spend some more time on the forum. Why not mailing lists, says Zorg? Mailing lists are good, but the forum gives me some functionality that enables me to do things like set up courses and other things that are useful to other parts of what I'm doing. So having the forum software has been valuable in various ways. Also, there is a way to communicate with the forum via email. I haven't set it up in every place, but it is possible to do that. Fade says, we're your friends. We're not like the others. Who are the others, though? Yes, you are my friends. I mean, come on. We've been talking to each other for years now. All right. PHPBB, ride or die. I don't know. Does anybody still use that? Seriously? Glenneth was supposed to finish discourse.el, says Trev. Glenneth is a busy man. Let's not put it on him. Everybody should jump in and help. So if people want discourse.el, we all got to work. Ashra says you can reply to threads via mail, so we're halfway there. There is a way for a particular topic to have an email address where someone can submit a new post via email. Now, that is risky, I think, because it could be abused for spam. Kay says, I am a member of 2 new fora. Which ones are those? Sickos. I'm not loading that. That sounds risky. Okay, so how do people like seeing the actual IRC on the screen? Is it interesting or is it just distracting? Sick OS. Might be. I feel like I've heard of this, but I'm still skeptical to open such a link. All right, still working on the Git ref log video, as I had been mentioning since last week. I've got it mostly done. I nerd snipe myself, as I always do. I don't have the code here, but I have been writing a set of functions that are able to take an org babel file, an org file that has source blocks in it, and set up a repository from scratch for the purpose of demonstrating things with Git. It's probably like what Ashraz is saying, but really what this allows me to do is not only run shell blocks to do Git commands, it also allows me to progressively edit files that are under the repository so that I can make changes to the files and then check those in. So it's almost like, who was it that called it the playbook? Was it Trev who called it the playbook? It's kind of like a playbook for scripting things in org mode. It's really simple. I don't know if I'm going to release it, but it was something fun to work on, and I did that, and I spent time on that instead of spending on the video in some ways. Yes, Fade says Howard Abrams has a pretty good workflow video on using Emacs org for DevOps work. That's called Literate DevOps by Howard Abrams. And I will tell you for sure. Yeah, I've recently showed this to Mike, so this has come up. I end up. Sorry, let me start over. I end up recommending this to people pretty often because it's pretty cool. So Howard Abrams has been around the Emacs community for a while. This post is quite old. I remember reading this post and seeing the video. I want to say it was 2014. Was it really that long ago? Was it really that long ago? What? Literate DevOps. Go to the video. When did it come out? I know it's not that new. Come on, load it up. 9 years ago. Sounds about right. Okay, so it's a really cool video and article talking about how Howard uses org mode, org babel source blocks, and executing those source blocks to do DevOps tasks. The benefit of that is that when you write down all the steps you're going to take in this document and execute them using shell blocks, you get the output in the document. So it's almost like a log of every step you took to diagnose or fix a problem. I think it's an interesting approach because then you can share that information with other people. Then they could even go and take that document and execute it themselves if they want to. So there's a lot of really interesting value to that, I believe. And it shows you the power of org mode and some of the more advanced features of it. So it's certainly worth watching. Gunn says, way back when DevOps was called scripting. Yes. Is Ashraz yelling at himself? Fade says, IRC must always be first. This is where all the cool kids devolve. Yeah, well, we end up gravitating toward there. Everybody just likes text mode things. Nakatani says, on-screen IRC makes it look more like hacker mode. Okay. Mihai over on the YouTube side says, have you checked out GPTL? Thank you, Ashraz, by the way, for doing the SCC copy bot. It's not a bot, really. It's a human, Ashraz, who's taking the effort to copy and paste YouTube comments over to the IRC. Thank you, Ashraz. I guess the bridge is not working. Have I checked out GPTel? A few days ago, I tried it with Llama file and Llama and performed better than expected with a mid-range AMD laptop without a dedicated GPU. I did not know that GPTEL supported local LLMs, but that's pretty interesting. I've used it a while back with ChatGPT, but I don't really use that in Emacs anymore. I don't use any of the AI stuff in Emacs anymore, so I've not used that in a while. Let's see. Big Edie says, is SCC copy an actual bot or a human pretending to be a bot? Ashraz is a human that pretends to be more than one bot in this channel. So is that confusing enough for you? All right. Let's see. Snared on YouTube side says, I'm new to Emacs, but I'm planning to use mainly org mode with Rome since I came from Obsidian and the system looks similar. Do you recommend me to watch some Emacs video first, or should I start with org? I think that having a foundation in org mode concepts would be useful. We've got a couple videos on that. One is in the Emacs from Scratch series way back. There's an org mode video there. And then I've got a whole series on org Rome, which was, I think, pretty good. So just check out both of those and it should be good enough. Zorg reminds me that Emacs Conf will be coming soon. Yeah, for sure. I did not end up sending a presentation this time because I got busy with things. So unfortunately, I won't be speaking there. I might be speaking at FOSDEM 2025 though. I don't know what about yet, but they asked me to come speak at it. So that's the thing. If you want me to speak at a conference, you'd better ask me, because otherwise I'm going to procrastinate on sending a proposal. So let that be a lesson to you, Emacs Conf. I'm too much of a procrastinator to submit a CFP. Big Edie says on the YouTube side, unless there's something specific you want that doesn't come with built-in Emacs, I would just go directly with Org Roam. If you want something like Obsidian, then definitely Org Roam would be the place to go, or Denote. I prefer Denote, but it's more of a do-it-yourself kind of thing. So if you want more of like an Obsidian type experience, Org Roam might be better out of the box. Dave says, who asked you about FOSDEM, a specific dev room organizer? Yeah, the Geeks folks in the minimalistic computing dev room. So yeah, no, not something more general. I'm not being asked to do any big presentations, just a normal kind of, presentation. The last time I spoke at FOSDEM was in 2023, and I spoke about Geeks Home. This time, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Probably some Geek stuff, I don't know. Could be Scheme. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe I could talk about something else. Don't know though. Let's see. So Case is saying, I must say the name of the Git Good workshop is A+. You should give me eBay style A+'s there, Case. Come on, you know what I mean. It has to be A+++++. Great service, immediate delivery, right? Mihai says there's a new package called Org Node, which is kind of Org Roam Lite. But I mean, do we really need another one? Does it do something that's significantly different? The reason why I think Denote is the next step is because it's not just about Zettelkasten. It's more about having a consistent naming strategy for notes that gives you value outside of just the content of the notes. So I really think that Denote is, if you want something that's more craftable and gives you a lot of options for defining your own workflow, I personally prefer Denote. Wilf says to get started with Denote, Emacs Writing Studio is great if someone is new to Emacs. It really helped to get started. That's cool. I saw that. That's from Peter Prevost, I think. He's been doing a lot of writing on the topic of Emacs and writing in Emacs and stuff, so that's really cool that he set that up. Big Book of Bugs says Roam is pretty nice until you try to do multiple directories. That's something that that Denote does really well, is multiple directories. It's 40 minutes in. I'm running out of time here. I got to start doing something. Let me check the actual YouTube side because I'm missing some things probably. No, I think Ashraz is doing a great job of keeping me up to date. Completions when? In a minute. Let's calm down. Let's calm down. Okay. I don't need more pressure. Ashraz regrets the idea of impersonating a messages copying bot. I just need to get the Twitch bridge working again. I don't know why it stopped working. I just need to get off my ass and try to fix it, because then nobody would have to do this job. I appreciate you very much, Ashraz. Thank you for doing this. It's not thankless work because I just thanked you, but it is tedious and annoying work, and you're helping a lot. No, we're not thanking left pad. Left pad is not the one doing it. It's Ashraz. Okay. Broke NVIDIA Shorter says, do you guys have any tips for getting Python LSP to work in Emacs when trying to install for pip? My Linux distro will not allow it to be installed. When you try to install it with pip, it doesn't work? Seems weird. I don't know why that would be the case, unless you're missing some other... So sometimes a package from an ecosystem like Python, Node.js, etc., will have native components that need to be compiled, and you may be missing other dependencies on your system that you need to install in your distro's package manager, like a C compiler or something else like that, that prevent a Python package from being installed and compiled correctly. So check into that. That might be the thing. Kay says, we need to complete the pre-show now. All right. So, one last thing. Let me pull this up. Geeks survey, Geeks blog. There is a new survey out for Geeks. It's a new effort by Futurile, Steve George, who has a really great blog about geeks, if you haven't seen it yet. This is a short survey. It doesn't take very long to complete. It basically asks you, complete the Geeks survey. It asks you about your experiences as a Geeks user or as a contributor to Geeks. They're basically trying to just get a lot of information and data about how people are using Geeks, how you've tried to contribute to it, certain pain points you've had, so that they can prioritize any work going forward from this point. There's a lot of really good, insightful questions in there that are relevant to things that have been discussed about Geeks and about the Geeks collaboration workflow. So if you have any opinions on that and you think that nobody is willing to listen to them, well, you should go to the survey and then answer all the questions there, and you will have an opportunity to voice your opinion. I think it's very worthwhile for anybody who is either presently using Geeks or has used Geeks in the past and stopped using it for some reason, because the questions are relevant to either case. Go give your feedback on the Geeks survey so that they have many, many data points to look at while trying to prioritize future work. That's the only way that you will be able to help steer the ship of the Geeks project, because it's pretty decentralized in a lot of ways. So this is your one chance to have a centralized sort of focal point of consideration for what to do next on the project as a whole. So Alternate Ed says, can we have opinions even if we don't use Geeks? Sure, why not? There may be questions there that will allow you to say, I'm not actually a Geeks user, but I don't use it because I don't like parentheses. Which I think that if you're watching this channel and you're the kind of person who doesn't like parentheses, why are you here? I'm not saying that as an insult. I'm just like, I'm kind of confused. Maybe you just like seeing weird guys talk about computer stuff with their screen showing at the same time. I don't know. I'm sure we all like parentheses here. You should check out some of the comments I got on the Nix versus Geeks video. There's some people who really do not like the way the scheme looks. And I'm fine with that. That's cool. That's no problem. It's just funny that they get so incensed about the syntax more than anything else. Whatever. All right. That's the news. So today, what I would like to do... Oh, shit. I forgot. Excuse my French. Before I get into this, I need to set some context, right? I have been actively rewriting my Emacs configuration. I don't know how many iterations this is. It's not like Case, who has rewritten his Emacs configuration probably 35 times, which is great because, you know, you learn something every time. I had some specific goals this time around. I kind of got inspired by the stream I did recently, which was called, what was it called? Making the most out of terminal Emacs. If you go to live streams, making the most of terminal Emacs, October 18th. Anyway, on this stream, I was basically saying the reasons why I think running Emacs in the terminal can be useful. The perspective I had for myself, not necessarily the same that everyone else would have, is that there are cases where you probably will need to use Emacs in an unconfigured way. So, and often it will be on a machine that is not fully configured. Like for instance, you SSH into a server and you need to use Emacs there to edit some files or to basically serve as a window manager into the terminal environment, etc. Or you're installing Geeks or some other Linux distribution, you're going for a manual installation approach and you're in the TTY and you need a better experience than just a plain TTY. So whenever I install Geeks, I don't just go in the normal TTY and start typing commands. I start Emacs first and then I use actual Emacs there. But it's a vanilla Emacs, so you have to kind of be comfortable in that environment, or you have to have a configuration that can be easily loaded into such an environment so that you can be productive in the way that you, let's say 80% of what you would expect to have in your workflow, right? So in this stream, we worked on a very minimal configuration that actually would make Emacs feel a little bit more pleasant to use whenever you're in such a circumstance. So I thought, what if I just like went fully down that path? What if I actually tried to switch to using terminal Emacs full time and write a configuration that does serve all of the goals that I have? Firstly being having a single init.el file that I can pull into any circumstance that I need to, and it doesn't actually require any third-party or community packages. So I should be able to use curl, download my init.el file from a website, and then drop it into the home folder under .emacs. So .emacs is a file, basically it gets treated like init.el, then just run Emacs and have most of my workflow available to me. I spent a lot of time, and I did actually produce something that satisfies that goal. There's only, actually, no, I think I took everything out of there. So in my init.el file, if we look at that, let's just go to emacs.d, init.el. There is no use package in here. Whoops, pack. Okay, that's wrong. EF themes is in here. I should take that out. But org tempo is not installed. It's already there by default, and dir is by default. Okay, so EF themes is there, but it's temporary because what I'm going to try to do is make my own skin of Modus themes, but I probably won't have it in the init file. I'm probably going to move this to a separate file, like it's sort of some extras. There is no use package. Well, okay, I'm using use package for the configuration aspects, but I'm not actually installing packages using use package, except for EF themes, which I forgot about. Anyway, point being, this file is 324 lines long, and it has enough for me to be pretty comfortable in the Emacs environment. I've been using it for everything for the last week or so, and I've gotten pretty comfortable with it. I'm not using Vertigo, I'm not using Consult, not using Orderless, not using Marginalia, not using Magit. I'm using VC mode, if you can believe it. And actually, VC mode is not that bad once you get used to it. It doesn't do everything that Magit does, obviously. If I was to do like a Git rebase, I'm gonna have to use Magit. But if I'm on a remote machine or in a TTY trying to install gigs, I don't need Magit. So I'm not gonna install that. I'm gonna have it as an extension module. So that's basically how my configuration works. I have this main init.el file, and then I have a series of modules that add extra stuff on top of that. And those will only get installed and used on a machine like this one, which is like a daily use machine. So I use the same core init.el file that has all the main workflow stuff. And then I use extension modules that get loaded up on specific machines, but they're not required for the workflow to work. So that means I can't really rely on external packages, right? I have to get used to using stuff that's in the box in Emacs. I've been using Fido vertical mode. We'll probably switch that to iComplete vertical mode today. Yeah, everything else. I'm using iSearch for searching of buffers. I've started using MetaX occur for doing like consult line like searching. I've started using xref for searching across a project. And these are all things that we've been discussing in the IRC this week. I've been getting a lot of really good tips from Alternate Ved and Trev on some of these things that I've been trying out. So thanks to Alternate Ved and Trev for chatting it up with me on this week. And others, obviously. Glenn has been talking about some things in there as well. But I am starting to appreciate the built-in functionality more. It's certainly not as polished or performant as the community packages that you would install, but you can get around pretty easily with it. Now, how does all of this get back into completion styles, which is the main topic of the stream today? One of the things you'll find really quickly is if you've been using something like orderless with Vertigo, the completions, when you start typing in something in a mini buffer, like let's say you type meta X and you're trying to find a specific command, or you type in Control-H-F to find functions, to get help on functions. Orderless makes it really easy to find stuff quickly because it allows you to type in words in the completions that are not in the order that they appear in the string. That's why it's called orderless, because you could say line mode something, right? And the words are out of order. You sort of think about the words as you're typing them, and then you can still find things that are related to those words. There's nothing like that that I know of by default in the default completion styles. But that doesn't mean that you can't find a good configuration of completion styles that are built in that would enable you to get most of the way there. There are some things that I have heard about. There's some things I want to try. We're going to look at the documentation about completion styles and experiment with a few things. What I would also like to do if we have time is look at how they're actually written. How does a completion style work? How can you possibly write your own? How does orderless work? Can we look at orderless and sort of understand what it's doing? And maybe is there enough of a minimal implementation that we could make orderless ourselves? and have it be good enough? I don't know. Like, these are the kind of questions I want to answer. Okay, let me think if there's anything else specific I want to mention about what I did here. Now, there's a couple things that I did that I've been talking to people in the IRC about, which is another place I spent some time this week, is I've rewritten a few of the packages that I depended on. I've rewritten them in a minimal way for my own purposes. Let's see, which ones are they? OXO for sharing text and files on oxo.st. Turns out it's pretty damn easy to write your own client to OXO if you, or 0x0, let's say, if you just shell out to curl. I have my own functions for uploading text, either regions or entire buffers, or files, like binary files directly from my machine. Pretty easy. Wasn't hard to write that. So that's one thing that I rewrote myself. Another thing is this document centering, which is what Org was asking about. I have used a package called Visual Fill Column Mode, right, for a couple of years at least. And that's sort of the basis of my presentations, is how I edit org mode files. As you can see in this buffer, the document is kind of centered in the buffer. Well, I decided that I don't want to have to install a package for that. And on top of that, that package is only available in Melpa. And I am not using Melpa. I'm not putting Melpa in my configuration. I'm going to stick to only things that are in ELPA or non-GNU ELPA, right? Because those two package repositories are configured by default in Emacs as of Emacs 30. So I'm only going to pull in packages that come from the quote unquote official sources. Why? Because it's what I decided to do. I'm trying to, keep myself focused down this line and do the best I can to learn Emacs and teach Emacs without extraneous things, let's say. Okay. Maybe also if less people if less people use Melpa, maybe more people will be motivated to put their packages on non-GNU ELPA, because you don't have to do a copyright assignment to the FSF to put a package there. So consider, if you are a package author, put your package on non-GNU ELPA. I don't know how hard that is, but people will have access to your package immediately at, say, install Emacs, rather than having to go configure their package sources to add Melpa to it. So just consider that. Okay, I rewrote Visual Fill Column Mode in a very basic way. It does work. It seems to work fine in both graphical Emacs and terminal Emacs. This is, let's see, how many lines of code is this? 32 lines of code. In fact, 31 lines of code. Or if you take those two out because there's a comment and a space line, 29 lines of code. It's not much. All you're doing is just setting the margins, doing a little bit of math to figure out what the margins are. So if I go and turn this mode off, center document mode, it goes back to normal. And then if I turn it back on, it goes back to this. And if I were to split the buffer vertically, it does the right thing. It's all good. Now, I did look at the code for Visual Fill Column Mode to sort of figure out how they did a couple things, but I basically just made a minimal implementation of the same stuff. You can do this too, because many of the packages that you use, there's probably like a core kernel of really useful stuff in there, and then most of the rest of it is providing you with configuration options and then adapting to the different things you might want to do with the package. So because the third-party packages you install need to be usable by many, many people with many different use cases, they have to be way more bloated than what they, and I'm saying bloated as a comparative term. I'm not saying they are bloated by definition, because I don't like the idea of like, oh, that's bloat, whatever. So you can make a minimal implementation of a lot of the things that you use if you know some Emacs Lisp, and it's kind of fun. I had fun writing this. It was great. So if you use some things that should be simple, but actually the package is more complicated, maybe consider writing some things yourself in your configuration, and obviously share it with other people. Maybe other people will want to use what you did, but not everything has to be a package. It could just be something that's part of your config. This is in my init.el file now. I might move it somewhere else, but I kind of like having it as my base, part of my base configuration, because it makes editing my org documents look nice. And the other thing that I forgot to mention, which you probably realize by now, I've gone back to using a literate config. Why? I don't know. I missed it. It was kind of nice. And also I'll be able to go make a website out of this again. So I'm back to literate config. If you want to understand the motivations and goals behind what I've been doing with my new configuration, you can go check out, at least for now, the repository on Codeberg or on GitHub, davidwills/.files, I've got a full explanation of what I'm doing in the emacs.org file that's in the root of the repository. So you can go check out the preface and the goals. I've written quite a lot of stuff here. I've also mentioned, how I'm planning to use built-in stuff versus community packages and other stuff like that. So it might be interesting to you if you're thinking about doing something like this as well. But so far, I'm pretty pleased with it. I'm also kind of happy with how things are going with terminal Emacs. You're looking at terminal Emacs. I'm running this in the foot terminal right now, okay? This is not graphical Emacs. It looks pretty good. I'm not using things like, obviously you can't do things like having different heading sizes, font sizes for headings and stuff in a terminal because terminals don't have the ability to have variable font sizes inside of a terminal, right? I don't really care, okay? That's a nice looking thing, but in terms of me getting work done and accomplishing what I need to do in my workflow, I don't really need to have different font sizes in a terminal, in a buffer. So I'm fine with this. I'm also fine with it not having fancy stars either, or using org modern. Maybe I'll do some stuff to add that myself in a very minimal way. I don't know. But all I can really say is that I've been pretty pleased with this so far. I'm having a good time. Lol, Foot. Yes, the terminal is called Foot. And it's actually written by a person in the Emacs community. It's pretty good, actually. All right, so what else do I want to say about this? I think I covered everything that's important. If people have questions, I can answer them. In fact, let me just jump back here. I'm going to jump back up to the last place where I saw the chat. I'll tell you what, I've been learning RC/IRC a lot better here too, and it's a pretty cool package. I like RC/IRC. It's great. Hello to Titan of Old and Eric. Nice to see you. All right, we got a lot of chat here. Let me see what I've missed. Now you'll see how my process for reading the chat. I'm just scanning through to see if anything catches my eye, okay? Case says, Dave is just talking. That's what happens, right? I'm explaining my new configuration. All right. Living like a savage. It's a good life, all right? Case says, hot take, use package is dumb. I don't know. I see the value of it, okay? I see the value of use package. It streamlines common configuration patterns, and I value it for that. So I've been using it again for the last year, probably, at least. I stopped using setup.el, went back to using use package, and I'm happier that way. I don't need to write all that stuff myself. It's fine. Why visible bell? Because don't you want to see that all the day? No, I'm probably going to turn it off. Foot actually does something special for visible bell, and it makes it super annoying. I don't like the flash. I prefer if the mode line flashes. In fact, I think there is something for that, isn't there? Visible bell. What is it? There's some specific thing for setting how the visible bell dings, and you can flash the mode line instead. I'm probably going to do that instead. Case says, let me say use package is too smart. Well, yes, but if you know how to use it correctly, then it's pretty nice. Case says VC mode is good. It's fine, actually. Yeah, it's good. And Case says hot take, all you need is .emacs. That's not really a hot take. I actually agree with that. I'll tell you something interesting I did, though. I did not want to install the no littering package, which helps you to keep all the stuff out of your .emacs.d folder or your .config/emacs folder, all the junk that gets created by various packages. I figured out a really cool hack for that, which is don't put anything in .emacs.d except for a symlink to your init.el file. Don't symlink your .emacs.d file, your folder, into your .dot files, because then you're going to get a bunch of crap in there that you're going to have to ignore or delete or something, or move somewhere else. The easiest thing to do is have your init.el file be the main starting point of your configuration, symlink that into .emacs.d or .config/emacs, and then add a path of your dot files as a module path or a load path in Emacs and load things out of there so that you don't have to touch your actual dot files folders. So that's basically what I'm doing right now. If I go into .emacs.d, you'll see that init.el is symlinked directly into my dot files folder, but everything else is just here. I don't even need git ignore because it's all stuffed in this folder. And it's fine that it's there. I don't have to configure anything. I don't have to configure where the auto save files go. I don't have to configure any like other extra packages or anything. It all just kind of goes in the right place. And my .files folder is much cleaner as a result. So complicated? What are you talking about? It's not complicated, it's easy. How about tilde files? I don't know. I've turned off backup mode. I don't like those. I don't like backup files. In fact, I've got it set up so that after 3 seconds of idle time, every buffer gets auto-saved because I would prefer my files just to be saved and not having backup files. CMAX says, I thought he would have done that via Geeks Home. Maybe I will in the future, but this is sort of like the intermediate phase. All right. Alternate Vet says, why not default completions instead of Fido or iComplete? I don't know. Default completions is greater than iComplete. I don't know. I'll have to look at it, but I don't like the fact that it pops up that buffer. It's a little bit annoying, in my opinion. Odorless. It would be pretty nice to have some odorless completions. All right, let me skip ahead a little bit. Bye, Summer Emacs. Kay says, I thought visual fill column mode was a minimal implementation of Olivetti mode. It kind of is, but it could be more minimal. Control O says, I heard this is the place people come to get ideas for NeoVim plugins. Maybe. That's kind of an interesting idea. Random Code says, have you considered trying Lim, the editor? Nah, not really. I'm not that interested in it. Emacs is great. I don't really see a reason to do that. Eric says, is RC-IRC better than ERC? In my opinion, yes. I like it much better. Peter says, RC-IRC is a new meta. I've been using RC-IRC for at least 2 years. I made all those videos about, well, videos and streams about ERC, and pretty much right after that, I went back to RC-IRC. Because ERC is nice. One of the main reasons why I went back, though, to RC-IRC is that ERC could never seem to reconnect to the IRC server after I wake my laptop up from sleep. I don't know why that's the case. It never worked. RC-IRC, on the other hand, works fine. So that was one reason. But then I appreciate the sort of minimalism of the RC-IRC interface. So I like it better. And it has enough interesting features that I feel like it's good enough. Akite says, I see how you all enjoy Emacs and I wish I like anything that much. It's fun, dude. Come on. It's fun. Kay says, this is my current .file setup. Not that one. Am I going to be... Okay, good. This is not a... I saw some questionable emojis in there. Yes, that one. Thank you. This is Case's home. What is this? Link stuff to home. Okay, so you've got a script for that. That's great. Nice. I don't use early init. I don't really have a reason to. Get your own theme. That's nice. Cool. What is over-engineered, Case? Alternate Vet says, oh my God, RC-IRC fixes that? Yes, it does fix that. And it's simpler and it's nicer. Titan says, ERC is slow too. I use Circe and it reconnects fine and quickly. Yeah, ERC is a little bit slow. I've noticed that. Eric says, I use ERC on a desktop that is up 24/7, so no reconnection issues. Yeah, makes sense. You know what I'm talking about, John. Let's see. Stowe is over-engineered. Yeah, Stowe is interesting. Stowe is useful, okay? Stowe is great, but I'm trying to like simplify things, but then I say that, and then I'm gonna use Geeks Home to place files in certain places, so it's not really, I would say Stowe is nothing compared to using Geeks to manage your home folder, okay? With Geeks, you're literally building a dependency graph of every single fragment of a file that comprises your entire configuration and is churning and churning for about 3 or 4 minutes before it finally places them in your home folder. I'm not really doing a good job of selling Geeks Home right now. There's many reasons why it's great and useful, and I still use it because I like it. But the reality is that Geeks Home is It's like using a warship to sail across a narrow river. Maybe. I don't want that to be the marketing term for that, though. Sakarosium says, are you becoming Soding slowly? He is the ultimate Emacs minimalist. No. He's pretty cool, though. Okay. So, it's now 7:06 my time, as you can see, 7:06 p.m. We're an hour and 6 minutes into the stream. Where are we? Did we get anywhere so far? Let me go to the YouTube chat. Dolce says, I never loved Stowe. Ashraz says, going on a guess here, but David is more of a Lisp 1 user outside of Emacs, C, Geeks, and Guile, so Guile Emacs would be more fitting than Lim. Yes. And speaking of which, Guile Emacs is having a bit of a resurgence because Robin, who is, I don't think Robin's in the chat right now, but Robin and another person named Larry Schemer, who shows up in the chat, have been working on reviving Guile Emacs and getting it up to date with the current developments of Emacs. So if you're interested in there being an Emacs that can be extended with Guile Scheme, it might happen. We'll see. Robin seems to be pretty motivated on the idea right now. So let's see what they're able to come up with. Titan says, Ashraz, we touched on completions at least once, did we? Did I say anything about completions? Akite says, and soonish on Risk V or Risk 5. Akite, nice work, man. I saw that the post that you've been making on Fediverse, looking pretty cool. Nice to see that things are working on Risk 5. I would love to be using a Risk 5 machine at some point in the future and using Geeks on that. So that's kudos to Akites for that work. Also, some sad news. I had an NLNet grant that I had submitted and it didn't get selected. That's too bad. It's okay though. Sakarosium says, you guys know about a Vim plugin for Guile? Don't know. It's a good question. So far, we haven't done anything. Dude, I've been talking for an hour. I've been doing all this work and we haven't done anything yet. I explained to you my whole new configuration. I'm kidding. All right. So, completion styles. Let me pull up the manual. Control-H-R, right? Okay, and then M, and then completion styles. Hey, how fast was that? That was incredible. Completion commands work by narrowing a large list of possible completion alternatives to a smaller subset that matches what you have typed in the mini buffer. Okay, so if you've used Emacs literally for 5 seconds, you've probably come in contact with a mini buffer prompt that uses some kind of completion system in Emacs. Control-X, Control-F. You're having to type in a path to a file, but it's not just you typing in a plain string. It's giving you hints on what things are available in the folder that you're typing in, and you can do completion on those selections to streamline the process of selecting something that shows up in that listing. So if I just jump back to the home folder, I can type in dot files, press tab, Emacs, press tab, that kind of thing. This is basically what we mean when we say a completion system, because you're completing or selecting from options in a mini buffer prompt. So this is the mini buffer here at the bottom. That's what they call it in Emacs. It's basically just a small area where they're showing you various different things that might be useful to you, either information or completions like this. Now, there are a number of completion systems that are built into Emacs. There's the default one. I don't know if it actually has a name, but if you turn off, am I using Fido right now? Yeah, and then iComplete. Okay, so that's iComplete. Let's turn off iComplete mode. Now I'm gonna go back to just plain old completions. All right, so now I'm in, let me go back to my home folder. It's not really giving me anything right now. If I press Control-Alt-I, I think, no, Tab. Okay, if you press Tab, it's gonna give you kind of a buffer that pops up with all the possible things that you could be trying to complete in this folder, right? So if I were to type in WH for Y Geeks and press Tab, it will complete as much as it can up until the name of that file, and then it will show you the 2 remaining completions, and you can continue to, trying to get to the file that you're looking for. So that's the default completion system. As we saw in the chat, certain people seem to like it. I don't really know if I do, because I don't like it when something kind of pops up a window that's so big that it takes over what I'm already doing. It's probably configurable to change that. I don't really know. Maybe I'll spend some time with it at some point to see if there's something valuable about it, because I have found things that are valuable in Emacs that I was not actually aware of until now. So we'll look at that at some point, but at least for now, I've been more focused on using iComplete, which is a different completion system. Ashra says, are we talking about completion systems or completion styles? We have to talk about completion systems first, slightly, because which completion system you select does affect completion styles, which we'll have to get into. So there are other completion systems in Emacs, like iComplete, where if I were to turn on, let me show one other thing. MetaX, org dash, so you get completions for many things. But what if I type in, what is my current completion styles list? We should do this with the defaults, completion styles. When I say completion styles, excuse me, what I mean is this variable called completion styles, which has a list of names like basic, partial completion, Emacs 22. These are the styles of completion filtering that can be applied to the list of things in the minibuffer in a completion system, okay? We'll see what those are in a minute. We're gonna look at the documentation on those and see what they are. So this is basically a configurable list that says, I want you to try to complete things in a minibuffer using these different completion styles, or basically filtering modes in a way. So I've confirmed now that I've got the default set. So I'm not using anything special here, okay? So with normal MetaX org, yeah, it basically, you have to start typing something that starts the candidate that you're looking for. Okay, this is with the basic completion system. Now there's iComplete. Turn on iComplete. This is a little bit different because it shows things in the mini buffer. So if I were to type in org dash, you get a bunch of candidates that are sort of wrapped horizontally here. But then you can do some interesting things like or dash. Does it not work like that? Okay, so yeah, the completion styles are not making it work like that, which is fine. Org dash mode, whatever. So you're getting kind of live updated candidates, which is different than what you were getting before with the default system where you have to keep hitting tab to get things. So now you're getting live updated completion candidates. Same thing for something like control HF, FIND dash. You can see a number of things being given to you as possible completion candidates here, right? Let's see. Yeah, alternate vet saying something about navigation keys. So the completion styles sort of dictate how these candidates are filtered. I've been using something different lately called iComplete vertical mode, which also kind of affects completions in its own way, where you see things like or dash. Yeah, okay, so we need to look at the completion styles because it does affect all of them similarly. All right. So now we've seen sort of like what different completion systems look like and how when we're typing, it sort of affects how the candidates are presented to us. Some of them do live updating, some of them don't. Now, completion styles. Emacs performs completion using one or more completion styles, which are a set of criteria for matching minibuffer text to completion alternatives, meaning the list of selections that you see in the particular minibuffer prompt, whether it's MetaX, describe function, find file, or anything else. So during completion, Emacs tries each completion style in turn. If a style yields one or more matches, that one is used. So it's a priority list. Whatever you give in completion styles, it's going to try the first one first. If it finds candidates, it's going to stick with that one. It's not going to combine the results of all of them. So you need to keep that in mind when you're configuring completion styles, that whichever one that comes first, if it's more permissive, then it will probably just get chosen all the time. The other ones won't. So keep that in mind. If a style produces no matches, Emacs falls back on the next style. So there's a second variable called completion-styles-alist, which is pretty nice, which allows you to configure the completion styles used for different commands. And this can be useful because why is orderless in this list? It's not the default, is it? Why is this here? I think this must be coming from Geeks. I've got, no. It's not built in. Orderless is not built in. This is coming from my Geeks packages. I'm pretty sure it's just showing up, and it shouldn't be showing up, but it is installed in Geeks Home. So that's why you're seeing that package show up. It's not built in, okay? But it's interesting that it did show up. Anyway, point being, I think, yes, for completion initials, try completion, isn't this a way to set, like, for different completion commands? Name, try completion, all completions. Name is the name that should be used in completion styles. Oh, this is the configuration of the different styles. There's a different variable that allows you to configure the styles used for given minibuffer commands. That's a different thing, apparently. So let's just look at what it says here. Basic. We're going to look at the different styles. Basic is a matching completion alternative. Must have the same beginning as the text in the minibuffer before the point. And what we saw before is that in completion styles, no. There you go. The first one is basic. So by default, basic is the first completion style that is configured, which means that what it's going to do is look for anything that has the same beginning as the text in the mini buffer before the point, meaning before where the text cursor is. Furthermore, if there is any text in the mini buffer after the point, the rest of the completion alternative must contain that text as a substring. So it's kind of a combination of a prefix match and a partial completion match. Excuse me. So if I type in org-b and then let's see, if I go back one character, see, the thing I don't know is, like, does it actually work the way it says it's supposed to? Maybe let's go turn off iComplete vertical mode and just go back to plain iComplete. Okay, it's on. All right, so this is basic. We're gonna try this one more time. Org dash, now BA, if I put the cursor back by 2, doesn't seem to change the results at all. Maybe should I put in TA? NGL. That's the thing I don't understand. Is it that if I press tab, it gets it? Okay, all right, you have to press tab to invoke that behavior. So that's the thing I did not get about what all these things were saying. Maybe it does work in vertical mode then. iComplete vertical mode. I'll tell you what I mean. Give me 1 second. So org NGL, okay? I'm actually looking for org babel tangle. If I press tab here, it doesn't give me anything. If I move the cursor back before the NGL and press tab, it will complete that out to org babel tangle. Why? Because the basic completion style says so. Matching completion must have the same beginning as the text in the mini buffer before point, so org dash. Furthermore, if there's any text in the mini buffer after the point, after where the cursor is, the rest of the completion alternative must contain that text as a substring. So if you're like, okay, I know it starts with org dash, and then it has like NGL in there somewhere, put your cursor before the NGL, press tab, and it will find it. That's how the basic completion style works. It might be useful in certain cases. And this is the way that I think people should think about this when configuring completion styles. How is it that your brain works when you're thinking about how you're locating things you're looking for? Like if you're looking for a command name or a function name or a variable name, how is it that what is your own mental search strategy? And how do you type the text for these things by default? And how do you expect the editor to give you back the results that you're looking for? That sort of should dictate how you set up your completion styles. So that's kind of interesting. Basic is kind of interesting. Next is partial completion. So if we were to go and type in NGL, nothing starts with NGL in the completion list. So because nothing starts with NGL, now it's switched to looking for partial completions. So I think it moved on to partial completion. This is an aggressive completion style which divides the mini buffer text into words separated by hyphens or spaces and then completes each word separately. For example, when completing command names, em-l-m completes to Emacs list mode. Similarly, I think if I were to type in or-ngl, if I move the cursor and hit tab, does it work? I think that might actually be partial completion working, because I think that it does the same thing too whenever you have your cursor move. So what I did was or-ngl, which won't work because there's nothing that starts with or as a command. So because there's no command starting with or dash, you see that it's looking for things inside of the command names, right? So or-ngl, if I hit tab, it doesn't give me anything, but if I move the cursor a little bit and hit tab, it does. So I think that's what partial completion is doing here. Furthermore, a star in the minibuffer text is treated as a wildcard. It matches any string of characters at the corresponding position in the completion alternative. What's a good example of that? Let's see. org-star el. Okay. So you can kind of make it work the way that you want to by putting star in. If I put just el, does it work? No, okay. So you put star in, and then it kind of gives you anything that has el at the end, it seems, which is cool. ble, okay, yeah, that works. So Gun says, you don't have to press tab in the org-ngl example. It expands automatically once the cursor is on the end. I don't see that happening though. Org-ngl. Does it do it if I move it and just let it sit there? Yeah, it doesn't do anything. So I have to hit tab for it to actually activate that. I don't know if that's something I did in my configuration that's doing it, or if it's the default behavior, but I haven't seen that happen. See you, Case. All right, before I move forward, let me check the chat real quick just to make sure I'm not missing anything. And Case says, smell you later. Faye says, brother, I also have ADHD. I know how it is. Yeah, it is what it is. Ashra says, dang it, I wasn't even able to tell you Control-HR-M complete this time. Yes, because I've learned how to do it correctly, Ashraz. Thank you, though. Gun says, in basic. Well, we're still using basic. We haven't changed it. All right. Couple of helpful settings. Completions format, 1 column, completions max height 20, completions auto select, second tab. So let me copy that, because I will use that to try some things out later. Do I have my Emacs buffer up still? Okay. Let me just drop that in right here so I remember it. I'll go back to that another time off stream. Okay. Morgan says, the majority of the time I use previous complete history element instead of showing the completions buffer. You type a prefix of something you've already typed, then cycle candidates to find it. That sounds interesting. Completion category overrides. Thank you, Ashraz. That's correct. Completion category overrides. Let me put that in the show notes so I don't forget. Show notes are going to be super light today. All right. Okay. So back to the info buffer. Oops. Hello. Where's info? Info. There we go. So we saw partial completion. Now the next one, which is part of the defaults, is Emacs 22. This completion style is similar to basic, except that it ignores the text in the mini buffer after point. It is so named because it corresponds to the completion behavior in Emacs 22. My question is, why do you need that in the defaults? I mean, aside from the fact that people who have been using Emacs since before, on or before Emacs 22, probably expect that behavior. But if you have basic, which is like a better version of it, why even have Emacs 22 there? Because it seems like you probably would never hit it. Wouldn't you not? It seems like you would never hit it because you would hit the same thing with basic before then. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but personally, I would just take that out. So maybe as part of the Emacs.org, no, sorry. November, there we go. Maybe as part of this, I'll just kind of throw together a little speculative completion styles. I'm gonna put basic and partial completion. Now, question is, do I like partial completion better than basic? Is there any value to having basic first? I think the value to having basic first is because it's probably faster to do a prefix match on the string that's already in there than it is to use partial completion. So when you pull up meta-x org, it's probably faster to look at that than it is to do partial completion. In fact, we can just test that out really quick. Now I'm going to open up completion buffer again, org. That's still about the same. What about rg, comma? Okay, so that does work too. So Ashra says partial completion and basic differ a lot if you use multiple dashes. Well, let's see. or-b-, yeah, okay, that's cool. NE, okay. So that's nice. If I put basic back in to start with, I'll say or-b. Well, that already doesn't work. That doesn't work. You can see that there is some, that's probably partial completion working in there also. So org-b, yeah, so we get the prefix matching going in. So would I prefer to have basic first? I'm not sure. It seems like you will get the right result in either case. Or-bt would not match basic because bt must be an exact substring. Yeah, if I were to take partial completion completely out, we would not be able to accomplish what I just did. So let's eval that. Now or-b, if I press tab, not org. Yeah, or-b, it does find this substring. So that doesn't get found. It does find buffer. It will complete buffer, which is kind of interesting that it will go that far. But if I go back and put in partial completion, or-b, no, not org, and then put the cursor right here. Did it work? Did I break it? Yeah, okay. Partial completion. All right, I typed that right. That's good. or-b, and I'm putting the cursor before the b, right? Okay, yeah. Point was at the wrong position. You need to be before the hyphen. Okay. or-b hyphen here. Press tab. It does give you the things that we're looking for. If you do it after the B, it doesn't, huh? All right, anyway. So that's basic and partial completion. Peter says, I guess you want the most restrictive first. Yeah, you would. I think the criteria would be use the fastest and most restrictive first, because the slower options will be consulted only if the faster option yields no results. Right? So that seems to be the way to think about this, unless someone else has a better idea. So going back to the info buffer, Emacs 22, I don't really think that it's worthwhile looking at that. Does anybody actually use the Emacs 22 style for an actual purpose? I mean, obviously everybody is using it by default if they haven't changed completion styles, but is anybody actually using it and finding it useful? Maybe if you put it as the very first option, it can be faster than using basic. But basic is not intrusive, it seems. You have to invoke the behavior. Sorry, alternate vet. All right, here, look. Set queue, visible bell, nil. Okay, no more visible bell. Sorry about that. All right, so now the following additional completion styles are also defined, and you can add them to completion styles if you wish. Substring, a matching completion alternative, must contain the text in the mini buffer before the point, and the text in the mini buffer after the point as substrings in the same order. Thus, if any text in the mini buffer is foo bar, with the point between foo and bar, that means foo bar C, where A, B, and C can be any string excluding the empty string. Now, where would this be useful? The difference between this and partial completion is that you need hyphens. And it kind of I would say in many cases, you're going to be using mini buffers that have hyphens in them because you're looking at Emacs variables or commands. However, for things like files, partial completion may not be exactly what you want because many files don't have hyphens in them. So you might want substring instead. And that could help with longer file names, I think, that don't have hyphens. It's likely that substring could be the replacement for partial completion inside of file paths. Who said that? Nakatani says, set visible bell, epileptic seizure mode. Yeah, I don't need that either. All right, so if we were to try substring, let's try putting substring, let's put it first, just to see what it looks like, because we're not going to keep it that way. We just want to try it out. So what will I look for? org.ba. And then if I put my cursor back here to org.ba and press tab, then it finds org babel tangle. Let's do the orngl. Press tab, nothing. Put the cursor before ngl, press tab, org babel tangle. Okay. Nakatani says, Foot seems pretty nice, easy to configure. Yeah, it's another one of those programs that doesn't really require a whole lot of config, especially if you use Emacs as the main terminal application and let Emacs own theming do like true color theming or at least 256 color theming. You don't have to worry about theming Foot in the terminal at all. Should I show you that? I got a little hack in my config, which is pretty cool. I'll show you just one quick little second here. I'm kind of proud of this. It's not that big, but okay. Set terminal, okay. Clear background color. This is a hook that I'm using on EF themes post load hook. So after the EF theme loads, it would have to change this to something else if you were not using the EF themes package by Prot. But I got a function here that will see if I'm in a terminal mode Emacs, and if so, it will send a string to the terminal. This is an OSC message. There are special little character sequences that you can write out in a terminal program that your terminal emulator will pick up on and do fun stuff. And this particular one will set the background color of the terminal. So what I'm doing here is taking the background color in hex code format from the current theme and using an OSC message to say, hey, I want you to use the background color of Emacs, this Emacs theme, but I want it to be transparent. So that 90 right here is actually the opacity value, 90%, okay? So if I were to go say EF themes toggle, the background color will change because I'm actually sending that background color of the theme to the Foot terminal through this OSC message. So we have a terminal Emacs that has a properly transparent background for at least the default background color. The other important part of this is that you have to use set face background to clear the background color so that it doesn't try to put opaque characters where the background would be in normal cases. So you have to do these two things together for it to work, but it does work and it's pretty nice, I think. So you just go back to the previous theme and it works. This doesn't work across multiple frames though. I need to make this work whenever you have multiple terminal Emacs frames, but it's kind of a cool little hack. You can feel free to steal it if you want. My configuration is MIT licensed, so copy away. So back to the point. Substring, in this case, ORNGL, press tab doesn't give you anything. Go here before the NGL, press tab. It gives you org babel tangle. So that's basically what substring does. Benoit says literate config. Yep, I'm back to literate. All right. So there's other things you can do with OSC messages in Foot. You can also change the color theme of Foot with that, but you don't really need to, in my opinion, because you can just let Emacs do all the coloring. You can also send desktop notifications, other things like that. All right, next completion mode would be, I have to use Control-J to activate that candidate. So info, no. Info, tab, Control-J. All right. Flex. This aggressive completion style, known as FLX or fuzzy or scatter completion, attempts to complete using in-order substrings. For example, it can consider foo to match Frodo or F-bar bazoo. This obviously is going to be much slower. You do not want to pick this as your default completion style, but I think it is the one that Fido mode or Fido vertical mode picks by default. So you're automatically getting slower completions by using FIDO mode. If you don't know what FIDO mode is, it is a layer on top of iComplete, which adds some extra functionality to how iComplete completions work. FIDO vertical mode is the same thing for iComplete vertical mode. It's iComplete vertical mode with the FIDO extensions built in. So FIDO is using Flex by default, as far as I know. Ashra says, I use Flex a lot within my alternate 35-line config. I like it. Well, let's see. Let's try it out and see how well it works for the things we need. This could be pretty useful, but I still think that the candidates need to be in order. So you can't have orderless candidates. All right, ORBA didn't do anything. ORGNGL didn't do anything. Am I missing something? Did I not evaluate that? It's evaluated. ORNGL. Why is it not working? I think other completion styles are working. Let me actually take this out. Peter says, worrying about slow string searches, but rocking transparent backgrounds. Good that the priorities are straight. Dude, the transparent background doesn't cause any trouble. The completion thing is pretty frequent though. And it's noticeably slower. If you're not using Vertigo, completions are noticeably slower. So I want to save some cycles a little bit. All right, so ORNGL. Why is it not doing it? ONGL. Let me check this out. Complete using in-order substrings. For example, foo to match Frodo or foo f bar buzz oo. Nakatani says, I'm almost 40, so I turned off my transparent background. Can't see the anime, but it is what it is. Oh, come on now. See you, Fade. Benoit says, we're not cavemen, Peter. Yeah, I agree with that. So, why is it not working? I thought that it basically puts wildcards between every character. Does it not do that? I mean, for Foo to match Frodo, it would have to put wildcards between each character. It might be an iComplete issue. Okay, so should I just go back to normal? So, ORG, I'm laughing at what Gunn said. ORTNG, whatever. All right, so that seems to work. So in normal completion mode, it works. Why would it not work in iComplete in that case? iComplete mode. Let's go iComplete mode without vertical. All right, so ORTNG tab. Yeah, iComplete mode, ORTNG. Strange that iComplete is not allowing it. Do I do Control I? No, neither one of them is working with tab in that case. So that's kind of strange. I'm not exactly sure what the deal is with that. It works if you don't have any system enabled, so that's strange. iComplete issue, if I recall, that's why I use FIDO mode on that machine. So what is FIDO mode doing? Find library, FIDO. No? Okay. FIDO mode. FIDO mode. It's in iComplete.el. Okay. I not complete, says Benoit. Yeah, it certainly seems like that, doesn't it? Okay, an enhanced iComplete mode that emulates I do mode. So, yes, I do mode. There's yet another one that is in here. It's called I do mode. Because if you want to get married to Emacs, then you just use I do mode. All right. So it removes some hooks, takes out the way that iComplete sets up the mini buffer, changes the way that, it takes out the completion in region, turns off iComplete mode, but it says that it's on without activating it. And it replaces the hooks. So it just replaces a few hooks. All right, so iComplete mini buffer setup. What is it doing? Oh, hold on. That's for toggling it, isn't it? iComplete and buffer. Do I have that turned on? It's nil. Oh, okay. I see. So let's look at the iComplete Fido mode setup function. So there's a few variables that it's setting. Namely, it's setting completion styles only to flex. Ooh, flex no space. What is that? Is that why? Non-nil if flex completion rejects spaces in search pattern. Category defaults, ignore case. I don't like the ignore case thing. It's kind of annoying in some cases. Hey, Zerka. You're not too late, but stream will be over soon. All right, what else? iComplete scroll. What is that? Scroll candidates list instead of rotating it. Okay, fine. Nick says, I just finished your eLisp series. It was an excellent series, but I was wondering if you remember why you never got to the major mode of the .crafters package. I probably realized that at that point in the series that way less people were watching it, so I probably moved on to another topic. Hey, Thomas, nice to see you. Can you test with some single function call to see if a search string matches a short example list of strings? Is that possible? Hide common prefix. Is that true by default? True by default. Okay. Tidy shed of file names. Show matches on no input. Okay. Simple completing P. Use local map. YouTube chat and ERC. It's RC, excuse me, RCIRC, and the chat is being bridged across manually by Ashraz. Thank you, Ashraz. All right. Instead of typing all at the Emacs prompt repeatedly and matching against the full command list, yeah, probably should do that. You're right. But hey. Make value for a completion category defaults prioritizing flex. Okay. So they're basically looping through the list of completion category defaults. And are they manipulating them? Okay. Ashra says, YouTube chat is copied into Twitch by a Restream bot, which provides a format that I only have to copy paste. Well, that's nice. At least you don't have to do that manually. When the Twitch bridge works again, that will be automatic. Thank God. Okay. So, definitely something is different, but I'm not going to go too much into it. Ashraz is logging all the YouTube traffic in real time. Yes, he's copying and pasting the YouTube chat. Is that bot written in eLisp? No, it's written in Guile Scheme. The bot that is showing the messages up here, that is written in Guile Scheme. Ashraz is written in eLisp, though. That's for sure, as alternate vet says. Okay. We got 15 minutes left, more or less. I'm not going to spend more time on that right now. Here's what we'll do. I'll go back to... I'll turn on Fido vertical mode, because I know that Flex works there. All right. ORNGL. Didn't do it, though, did it? ORNGL. Why is it not doing it? Because in Flex, so much flexing. Fido mode disabled, Fido mode enabled. Okay. Yeah, some other completion style is taking care of that, I think. Can I just go... Oh, okay. Interesting thing. I have seen Emacs crash a couple times in terminal mode, and I have no idea why. Very weird. It's happened here, and it's also happened in Termux. I have no idea why. Did I hit Control Z? Is that what happened? Did I Control Z out of it? I pressed Control Z. Jeez. No? Okay, I didn't do that. What the hell happened? Look, it happened again. What happened? Sure, yeah, autosave. I like that. Abort and dump core, no. Something weird is going on. We're not going to the GDB right now. Proced. How's my CPU doing? Oh, I need to configure proced here. Huh. Okay, I'm surprised that it was, did I hit Control Z? Maybe. I need to unbind that because I don't want that. Yeah, this is Emacs in the terminal, Benoit. I'm sorry if the microphone's peaking. I'm a little bit too close. Maybe I'm hitting Control Z by accident, but I don't know how I would have done that. Anyway, let's get back to it. Back here, we have it set to flex already. We've got FIDO vertical mode, FIDO mode turned on. I don't know why it's not working the way that's supposed to. Terminal issue, not Emacs. Maybe. NGL. Yeah, it's not finding that. Kind of strange. ONL. That's a good one, Ashraz. I like that. Okay, so let's move on. There's one more, which is the, what is it? Initials. We're going to turn off FIDO. We're going to turn on iComplete vertical mode. All right. So we're back there. We're going to put in initials. The GUI is just better. The GUI is fine, and the TUI is fine. I think either of them are perfectly good options. Initials is what it's called. Yeah, initials. As you can see, it doesn't look very different, you know? Kite says, I use it all the time when I code, send the editor to the background and pick it back up later. Yeah, it can be useful for that. I do all my terminal stuff inside of Emacs, though, so I don't really need to go back into the terminal at all. All right, so initials completion styled. OBT. OBT? Nope. Did I set that? OBT. Nope. OBT. Org. Babel. Orb. Org. Babel. Tangle. So hold on. What did it say? Complete acronyms and initialisms. For example, when, it doesn't want the hyphens. All right, let's try that again. OBT. No. What is happening here? Let's turn off iComplete vertical mode. iComplete mode is still on. OBT. It's weird that this is not working the way that I think it's supposed to. Because completion styles is initials. Maybe you need to supply the dasher spaces. According to this, you don't. LCH will match to list command history. LCH. It does not. Strangely enough. Completion category overrides. Let's see if that actually... okay, it's nil. Okay. Disable iComplete. So it appears that iComplete is defeating the completion styles. OBT tab. So it got closer. Tab again. No. It's interesting that it did that. It's almost like it is trying to get you to use that plus, what was the other one? The substring? Maybe substring. Because it should give me org babel tangle, right? OBT. Maybe you have to disable the other modes. Yeah, for some reason, and nothing else works now because I don't have the other modes on. So it does seem like you might need multiple. All right, so let's go back into here. Initials plus basic. It's trying to get you to use Vertigo and orderless. No, we're making progress here. We're figuring some things out, I think. All right, so initials, basic. I'm sure somebody will be able to tell me too what I'm doing wrong. OBT tab. Tab. No, that didn't work. If I go over to here and hit tab, or here to hit tab, it doesn't work. All right. What was the other thing I was looking at? Partial completion. OBT tab. All right, now we're making some progress. Huh. Look into iComplete. What's Ashra saying? Yeah, who knows what's going on? There's a number of things that are happening here which don't make any sense. Now is partial completion doing the work? Yeah, exactly. So initials is only doing part of it. Ah, okay. So basically you have to use the iComplete setup hook to get the completion styles to work correctly. It's the same thing for Fido. You can't change them unless you use the mini buffer hook. So in that case, let's try add hook. Is iComplete. Let me go into a special edit buffer. iComplete mini buffer setup hook. All right, then I'm gonna use a little function for this. So defun dw iComplete setup, and then we're gonna set queue completion styles. This way we'll be able to change it without having to reset the hook. Is there a good reason not to use the GUI Emacs? No, it's fine. The substring flex and initials, is that what you're suggesting, Gun? So let's start with just initials. And we'll eval that. And then here we'll say dw iComplete setup and eval that. Now iComplete vertical mode. All right, now in iComplete vertical mode, OBT, still the same thing though. Now another thing I'll do, Control HV, completion styles in the context of the mini buffer. Substring partial completion Emacs 22. How did it get there? Try that again. Does iComplete do its own thing too? iComplete category, no. Yeah, performance, and it's much lighter. I have noticed also that Emacs in a terminal is, it doesn't hog the renderer as much in Wayland. Wrong hook, maybe. What did Ashra say it was? Whoa. Within a hook. Isn't text rendering through a terminal pretty slow? I don't know. I would imagine it would be no less slow than windowing, what do you call it? The graphical user interface library. I don't know though. I'm no expert on that. So there is stuff for iComplete hook, vertical mode hook, mini buffer setup hook. I think that's the one. So iComplete specific customization on top of mini buffer setup. There's some things in here though that I might need to remove. Oh, I have my other one here that I put in. Snap. Let me get rid of that. So what was it called? Remove hook. iComplete mini buffer setup hook. This is probably why we're having a problem right now, because it never changes. It always does the wrong thing. I'm going to remove DW override Fido completion styles. All right. Okay, so OBT, great. That does actually show up then. And that's actually better. So this works the way that we expected it to. Cool. Yes, John, I should have done it that way. So now, at the end of the stream, we've realized why iComplete was not working correctly. It's my own stupid fault. That's okay, though. So let's try, yes, that is, oh, is it flex? Are we sure? Why not restart? Why restart? Let's live large. All right, so let's check it. Inside of the mini buffer, Control HV, completion styles. It's initials. Okay, so it is correct. It's correct. It is initials only. So OBT, org babel tangle. There you go. Now, if I go back to the restart the computer for good measure, we're not doing that. I gotta go to bed, eat some dinner, those kinds of things. Oh, let's go back to the special edit buffer. Let's see, org source, there it is. Let's put that back in here. So initials, let's try flex one more time and see if that works, because that should work now. And then, what would I want to say there? ORNGL. Okay, so org babel tangle works correctly there. Is it slow? ORNGL. Not that bad, right? I mean, flex can do the job pretty well. Control HF, let's see, STTRIM, string trim, okay. STRTR, yeah. So flex can work for that. Now, would initials work the same way, maybe? STRIM would be a different thing. So IM would work with flex, and it wouldn't actually work with initials. So maybe flex is a pretty decent option for being able to find things. I mean, with MetaX with a full command list, ORTNG, it's not so bad. Can I put like a regex character? Nope. So it does give you a few different things. Yeah, but it's enough usually to kind of figure out where you want to be. Is that flex? Is that correct? If we go to initials, ORTNG. Oh, hold on. ORTN. OTB. Okay, so OTB works. Does it really need to be BATN? ORBA. OBT. Okay, definitely initials is not what you want, because it really wants you to be specific about the initials. All right, so flex is better, certainly. Not so slow. What about if we go back to basic? All right, so ORBA. So that doesn't work, but it does actually complete something up to that point, which is nice. So I think what it does, ORBA. Now, if I go here before the hyphen, actually if I hit tab, it's going to try to complete the thing before the point, and then it's going to give me the filtered results after that thing that it completed. So that could be kind of nice, actually. Benoit says, what if you did an add initials flex so that you get flex if initials don't match? I don't know. Is that, I mean, you could do that for sure. What if I try to do basic and then flex instead of partial completion? So RGTN, yeah, that could work. But first, ORG TNG, that's not bad. So ORG TNG. The ORG first would get the basic completion up to that point. Let me make sure that it's actually set up correctly. Completion styles. Boom. It's basic and flex. We have it set up right. So ORG-B-T. So up to a certain point, it will do basic completion, but then when it doesn't get any results from basic anymore, which it wouldn't at this point, then it will go into flex and then get something a little bit more flexible, let's say. If you set from more picky to more flexy, you get the best of both worlds. Yeah, it does seem to work. It does seem to work pretty well in that case. Yeah, Ashra says it's strictly initials, not partial. That's right. Zerga says, how did you edit the org source block in a buffer? That is the binding Control-C single quote. That brings up a separate buffer that is configured correctly to edit the file of the language of the block. I use it all the time, especially with the, what you call it? Literate configuration file that I'm editing. Alternate Ved says, I miss orderless spaces. Yeah, orderless spaces are pretty nice. Ashra says, literate configuration. Yes, my brain finally caught up and I was able to remember what I was trying to say. So this is not FIDO mode. This is iComplete mode, which needs a little bit of extra configuration, but it is okay. Let me see if I missed anything over on the YouTube side. Thomas says, wow, I never saw an emergency exit before. Yeah, I don't know what happened with that. I must have hit Control Z. Okay. What else do we want to say? I mean, where is the completion stuff defined? I want to take a look at what these look like. I said we would take a look at how they're implemented. Let's take a look really quickly. Control HF, sorry, Control HV on completion styles as defined in minibuffer.el. Now, basic. Oof. iSearch is real slow. Is it using the completion styles to do that? Real slow. Completion category defaults. That's kind of nice to see. Good to see these. These might need to be changed based on what you want to do. Basic completion. All right, so where does this get wired up, I wonder? Man, is the stream lagging? I feel like my CPU is chugging right now. Basic try completion, basic. Oh, right. We go back to completion A. Okay, I literally did not press Control Z. It did that itself. Okay, it did that itself. I don't know what's happening. Something is gumming up the works. Who knows? Garbage collection is a progress. You can't autosave now. Whatever. Put me back in the game, coach. It's really slow. I don't know what's happening here, but something is going on. Completion styles A-list. This is where the names of the completions. No. Completion styles A-list is where the names of the completions are mapped to the functions that you would use for those completions. So for basic, there's completion, basic, try completion, or basic all completions. So you can go look at those functions in minibuffer.el, which is the built-in package. Oh, another package that I rewrote myself is popper.el. So I have my own popper.el implementation. We'll throw that in there at the end. All right, so these functions apparently take 4 parameters: a string, a table, a predicate, and a point. You can get the substring before and after the point, and then use that to try to get the completion. So try completion before point, table, predicate. What is table in this case? All right, so it doesn't seem to be super easy. Yeah, we definitely hammer Control G. I do constantly. Oh, wow. Control G. Hold on. Whoa. If you hammer Control G, does it actually exit out of Emacs? That would be insane. The emergency escape feature suspends Emacs immediately if you type Control G a second time before Emacs can actually respond to the first one. So you can always get out of new Emacs no matter how badly it might be hung. Yes, I'm slamming Control G constantly. Control G, put on the caps lock key. Wow, can you stop that? Can you turn that off? We definitely learned something today. Thank you, Peter, for finding that out, because I did not know that, and it definitely is causing an issue. How can we turn that off? Yeah, this is definitely a stressed machine right now. That's for sure. It's under load. Let me see here. Okay. All right, so we didn't get a chance to really look into how to implement completions, but if you're interested, all the stuff for the built-in completion styles is in here. So flex, if you were looking for flex, ooh, I think completion styles are being used. ATP. Okay, maybe it's not being used, but it's really slow and it seems weird. I don't know what's happening there. Flex. Flex score. Completion flex score. Yeah, so even flex implementation is here. That's some funny looking code. You didn't derail the stream. We're on track. We're on track here. Okay, anyway, worth looking at if you want to know how completion styles are implemented, or maybe implement your own. The orderless code would probably make a little bit more sense now. So Emacs orderless. I'm curious how this is implemented, just to see how complicated it is. Orderless.el. Let's see. Okay, I mean, that's almost 700 lines of code. Now the question is, how much of this is really needed for a basic implementation? I don't know, but the code looks good. Certainly worth going and looking at it. Wow, that's a CL loop with quite a lot of stuff going on inside of it. That's pretty cool. It has its own concept of dispatchers. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. You probably don't need all of it. I think whatever it's using for the space-based orderless matching, yeah, it does start lagging while scrolling. That could probably be extracted itself and make a pretty nice built-in completion style that you put in yourself. All right, we good? Is that good? Like, do we feel like we've covered it sufficiently? What have we learned today? Well, we have learned that Control-G spammed in the terminal will make Emacs freak out and bail out on you. And we have not figured out yet how to turn that behavior off. I would like to know that because I don't want to have that happen. And it keeps happening to me on Termux in mobile. I was wondering what the hell was going on because it kept like dropping back to the terminal. You can't disable it. Man, come on. Control-H-RM emergency escape. Damn. That's terrible behavior. Okay, oh, I hit Control-G twice just then. Control-H-K, Control-G is bound to keyboard quit. Can I advise keyboard quit to not do the stupid behavior? Let's see. Emergency. Okay, there's no emergency. Damn it, I did it again. I hit Control-G fast enough that it freaks it out. Is that not common? Is it not common to just spam Control-G? I feel like that should be something that everybody's doing. Don't we have a message buffer for these events? I don't know. Must be in the C code? I don't know. Wow, that's so slow. What is happening here? Keyboard quit. Are we typing anymore? Signal a quit condition. Okay, so it's signaling. And yeah, okay. Maybe quit function at the C code level. The C code's doing it. See you, Zerka. Okay. What was that that Ashra said? We're gonna get out of the stream now. I just wanted to follow up on that. The quit you requested will happen by and by. Well, I don't want it to drop to the damn terminal every time. All right. That was fun. I think we learned some things about how completion styles work, and we also learned that iComplete throws an extra wrench in the works, and you have to use a hook to set the completion styles. But I feel like the experience you get through iComplete or iComplete vertical mode, or even Fido vertical mode, is better because you're getting live updated completions as you type, which is like what Vertigo is doing. So an iComplete vertical mode configuration with maybe a couple of well-placed completion styles, like let's say basic and flex. I mean, I think it's a pretty good combination. If you do that, at least for the most common mini buffers, then you might have a pretty nice experience in Emacs. It doesn't seem to be so slow. And there's also some iComplete variable for like a delay or something. Delay completions threshold, and you can crank that down to 0 so that it returns things faster. So there's a little bit of a delay whenever compute delay. Is that yeah, okay, all right, there you go. completions computation stall used only with large number of completions. So you could change that if you feel like there's enough of a delay. Anyway, the performance is not too bad. It's acceptable. I'm fine with it. I just need to get better at using normal completions in Emacs. Mfrom says bind control G to a function that only emits to exit on a timer that's slower than what's needed. I kind of feel like, yeah, Peter's right. I think all the streaming stuff adds latency, which makes it sensitive to control G hammering. That's probably right. But maybe what I will learn is not to spam control G and just hit it once and see what happens. Or just slowly hit it and not do it so vigorously. All right. Thank you all for being here today. I hope that you got something out of this. I certainly did. I learned a few things. Maybe we can come back to this topic again in the future and look into how to write our own completion style, or at least to adapt the orderless code and turn it into our own little completion style implementation that only does the stuff that we want it to do. It'd be kind of nice to have that, I think. But maybe it's not necessary. Maybe it's okay to not have orderless at all. Maybe it's fine to just use the things that are built in because they might be good enough. So it's all up to you to decide because it's your system to craft. More cores, more memory. Yeah, I do need that. I don't know. This computer is struggling and it shouldn't be struggling. It's a good computer. So thank you all for being here today. I really, yes, discussed the stream at the forums. Thank you, Ashraz. Appreciate that. Appreciate your time and attention. Don't forget about the Git Good workshop that I mentioned at the beginning of the stream. If you want to register for that, the link is in the show notes. So go check that out. The show notes aren't up yet, but I'll commit them and put them up now. And then you'll be able to see that. So I hope you all have a great weekend. Until next time, happy hacking. We'll see you.